Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where each episode is graded like a school project, starting with 100 points, then 1 point taken away for each error. Today's episode is The Ultimate Computer, where the M5 supercomputer tries to run the ship and has a nervous breakdown instead. As soon as they are contacted by the station, Kirk is thinking Commodore Enright's voice sounds just like Scotty's. The first point is lost for using reused footage from The Trouble with Tribbles. The best part of this episode is that when Commodore Wesley beams aboard, we can take a drink, since Kirk says, "Hi, Bob."
Yes!
The next point is lost, since they would have been notified long in advance of this type of war game. We learn that Dr. Richard Daystrom is a computer genius, and many of his designs are used on the Enterprise. The next point is lost for removing the crew. If the M5 lost power, there would be no one to run the ship. And in reality, there would also be a ton of computer specialists along with Dr. Daystrom babysitting the M5. And of course, this is foreshadowing what's going to happen later. And he's right about this. They should have just had the 20 crew in their positions, while the rest of the crew hung out in the rec room and partied their brains out. I can't take a point for this captain's log since some time has passed, but I will take a point for one set of doors on the turbolift. Inside the turbolift, we have the weekly Kirk-Spock-McCoy debate over technology, and Spock predicts the holographic doctor. The turbolift doors thought that was funny. Look, it's Charlie's Angels.
Where is he?
Dr. Daystrom likes to play hide and seek, which is pretty hard for him considering he's 6'5". Spock is honored to meet the Doctor. Dr. Daystrom talks like Elvis. Spock really knows how to brown nose. And of course, Dr. Daystrom eats that up. McCoy voices his concerns, and Dr. Daystrom's response is, "Get out." Here is a shot of the pitchfork that does everything. Now we discover Dr. Daystrom created the M5 computer using the magic mirror from Romper Room. Kirk really doesn't know much about computer programs, does he? It's not like 30 years from now he will command a ship labeled 1701A. The purpose of this line, of course, is to scare the audience. Maybe we should tell Kirk he can take care of that problem on the planet Risa. And to get technical, the computer can take care of that on the holodeck. Dr. Daystrom is convinced the M5 will do the work of people so they can be artists. However, exploring is an art to Kirk. Kirk tells Bones he's upset about losing his job, but also doesn't trust the computer. Yes, you are afraid because you actually say this line twice in a row. And of course, McCoy's answer is really open to interpretation.
The M5 computer is now disengaged.
The M5 shows its prowess at beating the crew at going to its first destination. And Kirk's like, well, whoop-de-doo. A little heated discussion here. Kirk says he's still in command and makes the decisions on the ship. Of course, Daystrom wants to build computers that make life easier for people, so is frustrated that Kirk doesn't like it. And Spock simply treats this as a computer experiment. As they approach Alpha Carinae, Daystrom gets to take a jab back at Kirk by saying, "If you feel you need the exercise." The battle is on. Kirk versus the computer. Who will win?
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
M5 is shutting down power as part of the Green New Deal. Kirk decides he will take advantage of M5 running the ship after all and sleep in the captain's chair.
M5's readout, Captain.
Of course, the M5's recommendations for the landing party are different. With a crew of only 20, the same people would go on a landing party every single day. And Kirk and McCoy will never go since they are considered non-essential. And William Marshall really is 6'5". He totally towers over Kirk and Spock. Daystrom brags about his advancements in computers, but Spock says a computer still can't think like a human. The next point is lost for the single set of doors on the turbolift. Dr. McCoy got kicked out of his own office. The next point is lost here for the surprise attack. The M5 computer really needs to be put in the situations in baby steps. Even Kirk had to work his way up to the captain's chair, and they aren't giving the M5 the opportunities to learn. -1 point here, since going 27 times the speed of light during a battle means you are leaving, not attacking. This is one of the rare times Chekhov and Sulu are on the bridge together. Kind of odd since there are only 20 crew members on board. Now they're going to warp 4. They say this was a success, but I am going to take 1 point since M5 never tried to contact the other ships to find out what was going on, and this will come back to haunt them later. Spock says computers work for people, not the other way around. This is a great screenshot of Lieutenant Uhura. Kirk says we have all this spare time, so let's watch Star Trek on the monitor. And his giving regards to Captain Dunzel means they're screwed. Theoretically, McCoy should have heard this term before, since he went to Starfleet Academy as well. I know it because I saw it in a movie. This shot is short, but it shows perfectly that Kirk was replaced by a computer. The next point is lost, since they didn't have a conference call with the 4 captains and Dr. Daystrom on how the M5 performed in the exercise. Another point is lost for the reflections in space. Dr. McCoy cures Kirk by getting him drunk. Yes! He's so drunk he's now reciting poetry. Kirk is remembering a really good fart. That's what she said. How much do you think that bust is worth now? Kirk's like, great, now the computer and Spock are in my chair. This ship is the Woden. It looks just like the Botany Bay they found last year. Minus 1 more point here, since if they go to warp 3, they will zoom right by the ship. Sulu is definitely not from the year 2021, since he referred to the ship by a pronoun. No! He did it again. The future is doomed. The M5 computer has locked out Sulu, Scotty, and Spock. Kirk is quietly thinking, this is a disaster, but it means we can fire the M5 and I can get my job back. Minus 1 point since photon torpedoes have to be manually loaded. That's interesting. McCoy refers to it as a brilliant young computer. The next point is lost since they never actually asked the M5 why it destroyed the Woden. Kirk has Uhura tell Starfleet they are disconnecting the M5, but we never find out if the message got out. I'm pretty sure it was blocked by the M5, but we don't find out for sure, so minus 1 point. But it's obvious M5 heard him and is now thinking, no way in hell you're gonna unplug me. The next point is lost for this captain's log talking down to the audience, because none of us forgot what happened before the commercials. And now Daystrom is starting to get a little nervous about the M5. And there goes another one. Scotty's like, shit, that was almost me. And now they're down to 19 on the ship. Daystrom is definitely in denial right now, trying to justify what happened. After all, the M5 is his child. And now the M5 has unlimited power. While they go have their meeting, Daystrom has a panic attack. They conclude they can cut the power to M5 in the Jeffries tube. And here is the weekly obligatory bickering between Spock and McCoy. Now McCoy bickers with Daystrom, who is very upset at the idea of turning off the M5. Unfortunately, I have to cut this conversation short for time, but Daystrom truly believes that the M5 is the answer to making life better and safer for humanity. Scotty and Spock are hard at work in the Jeffries tube, but Scotty has to let out a really big fart. Spock is like, I smell that, I know what you did. But Scotty's pretending like nothing happened at all. So Spock gives him that look that says, next time I go in first. And in this conversation, the issue with Dr. Daystrom is that he earned his fame early on, and it has been a long time since he made headlines. So is extra protective about the M5 right now, especially since M1 through 4 didn't work quite the way he wanted. It would be interesting to know who Kazanga and Sitara Vulcan were. McCoy is not surprised at all that Daystrom is acting the way he is. Here is an awesome screenshot of Daystrom's foot. Spock just wants to finish before Scotty rips one again, and Daystrom starts to act like they're trying to kill his child. However, M5 is onto them and has sent them on a wild goose chase. You know Spock is pissed when he uses those old Earth metaphors. Spock mentions M5 not performing logically, and McCoy is like, here we go again. Spock gets to take a jab at humanity again. And how he managed to impress human engrams into a computer, we will never know. But it's a brilliant achievement, but totally made a mess of things as well. M5 thinks, therefore it am. See, her message didn't get through after all. This little scene probably cost as much as the rest of the show. Okay, now she says it's being blocked. This is important information. She can't send out a distress call either. M5 is acknowledging the drill, but since none of them tried to contact M5 to double check on him, minus 1 more point. That would have solved a lot of problems early on. Again, warp 4 is 64 times the speed of light, meaning they left and not going on an attack run, so minus 1 point. Look closely, the Lexington first officer is also Vulcan. The M5 really doesn't like the Lexington, does it? This disaster is really going to make the 6 o'clock news. 53 dead is bad, but I'm sure if it's an election year, they'll vote Democrat. Chekhov looks like he's enjoying this too much. It's about time they thought of this one. That's called voice recognition. We have that today. As far as Wesley knows, the Enterprise has been taken over. Heck, Daystrom, they might destroy the Enterprise too. Unfortunately, we learned Daystrom talking to the M5 turned out to be a total waste of time. This is actually a remarkable achievement for Daystrom. Unfortunately, it's going to get them all killed too. You are great, I am great. Is that part of the Barney song? 20 years of groping will get you in jail. They're like, we're in trouble now. Spock finally says, I'm tired of this shit, and knocks him out. And -1 point here, since Starfleet would only authorize them to disable the Enterprise, not destroy it. The next point is lost, since Kirk doesn't even remind M5 that this is only a simulation. He just talks M5 into a guilt trip. This is the 4th time Kirk has been able to out-talk a computer. It must be since he is the only human that can speak Esperanto. -1 point because Kirk can't out-talk a computer. Now they have another problem. He should be saying intra-ship, not intership. But why is he even bothering? There are only 19 left on the ship. And of course, when M5 is down, they can do everything but communicate with the other ships. That's a plot device, so -1 point. Kirk decides the best thing to do is to play dead, and Wesley sees that he needs to call off the attack. Look closely, Daystrom is 6 feet 5, so he has to be at an angle on the bed to fit. Spock should know this tactic, since they all went to the same academy after all. And the show ends in one final Spock-McCoy bickering debate on the turbolift, and they fly onto the sunset a happy crew again. The voice of M5 was James Doohan. Don't worry about this guy, he'll be back in another Star Trek episode to get killed again. Yes! Barry Russo played Commodore Wesley and was also on Star Trek last year on Devil in the Dark. He has 80 screen credits including The Untouchables and The Young Marrieds. And William Marshall has African and Cherokee heritage. After studying theater, had an extensive theater career including Broadway. He played Shakespeare's Othello and Frederick Douglass on the stage and screen. He has 60 screen credits and earned 2 Emmys. He also taught acting at UC Irvine and starred as a vampire in the Blackula movies. Unfortunately, he left us due to Alzheimer's and diabetes. And the ultimate computer, which addresses technology taking away jobs, gets a score of 79%. That's all for now. Thanks for viewing. Please check out all my other videos and playlists, and most importantly, click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon. Aww. Public service announcement. If you play Hi Bob, please Hi Bob responsibly. Thank you.
Next week, we're going to find out about very interesting places to visit in our area, and we hope you join us for our special guests. But right now, I need your help with this magic. Bumper, bumper, stomper, boo, tell me, boo, magic mirror, tell me, PJ, did all my friends have fun at play? Well, I see Shmuel and Tricia and Betty and Cheryl Ann and Alexandra, and of course I see you. And I'll be looking for you Monday morning with Doobie right here in the Romp Room.